The Galaxy S25 steps in as Samsung's latest contender in the base flagship market. And of course, now that there's a new Galaxy on the scene, it's only fair to put it to the test with a fresh camera comparison against the iPhone 16 and the Google Pixel 9. Let's find out if this year's Galaxy has what it takes to claim the top spot in the camera showdown between these flagship rivals. Hey, I'm Olive, your host here at Versus.com. Whoa, hold your horses. Let me hit you in the face with some very exciting news. We're doing a giveaway for the entire Galaxy S25 lineup. So you have the chance to snag a Galaxy S25, a Galaxy S25 Plus, or even the Galaxy S25 Ultra. To enter the giveaway and get all the details, just click the link in the description below. And good luck. All right, for our camera comparisons, we always award points with the maximum number of points depending on the number of devices in the comparison. Since for this comparison, we have 3 devices, the maximum score for each category is 3. We'd also like to add that we always evaluate the photos and videos for you using a calibrated monitor.
So as always, we'll start off with standard wide photos as we feel that's the mode people use most frequently.
For the main camera, the Galaxy S25 packs a 50 megapixel module that was first introduced back with the Galaxy S22. The Pixel also comes with a 50 megapixel camera, while the iPhone features a 48 megapixel lens. Now, while the iPhone has the wider aperture, the Pixel holds the largest sensor size. In this first shot, all photos look pretty similar, but the iPhone's photo has slightly raised highlights. Both the Galaxy and the Pixel handle the highlights better, keeping more detail in the bright areas. Color-wise, they are all very similar though. In the second shot, it's pretty much the same story as the iPhone struggles a bit with the highlights, something you can see in the building in the back and on my face. Both the Galaxy and the Pixel handle the overall exposure better. Indoors, the Galaxy definitely falls behind as it cranks up the exposure way too much, also bringing in a ton of noise. The iPhone keeps the noise under control, but the saturation is a bit high. The Pixel nails it here with the most natural and accurate colors.
Moving on to a few ultra-wide examples. Ultra-wide is a great mode to capture more of the scenery in your photos.
Ultra-wide, the Galaxy sticks with the same 12 megapixel sensor that first appeared in the Galaxy S20. Yeah, 5 years ago. The iPhone also uses a 12 megapixel lens, while the Pixel steps it up with a 48 megapixel camera. In terms of field of view, the Pixel is the widest at 123 degrees. In this shot, all 3 phones perform pretty similarly with just some slight differences in white balance. But in this next one, the Galaxy completely blows out some highlights. The iPhone does a bit better, but the colors lean a bit too cold. The Pixel, on the other hand, nails it with the widest dynamic range and the most accurate colors. Here, none of the phones are perfect. The Galaxy gets the white balance spot on, but there's a ton of noise in the shot. The iPhone is pretty sharp, but you can still see some noise around the edges. The Pixel, while having the least noise, unfortunately has a very inaccurate warm tone.
Time for portrait mode, which is actually one of my favorites. Let's see which one of these gives us the most realistic looking bokeh while still maintaining details.
To no one's surprise, the Pixel is the worst here with plain bad edge detection. The Galaxy is better, but still struggled a bit with my hair. Here's where the iPhone shines with pretty precise edge detection. Next up, we use the telephoto lens for portraits. Or we would have if all the phones had one, but hey, 2 brands here decided to cheap out. So we went ahead and digitally zoomed in on the iPhone and Pixel to match the Galaxy's optical telephoto. The Pixel's edge detection is still pretty rough. Surprisingly, the iPhone's edge detection took a hit this time and also overexposed the shot. The Galaxy's edge detection, while also not perfect, nails the colors more accurately than the others.
Great video quality is absolutely crucial to have on your smartphone, so let's put these beasts to the test and see which one does it best.
For maximum video capabilities, the Galaxy can shoot at up to 8K 30fps, while both the iPhone and the Pixel top out at 4K 60fps. To keep things fair, we always film at 4K 30fps for our comparisons. In this scene, the Pixel's video is overly smooth, and the shadows have a strange blue tint. The iPhone is sharp, but has an inaccurate warm tone. Surprisingly, the Galaxy delivers the sharpest video and has the most accurate white balance. Indoors, the Pixel once again shows that weird blue tint. The Galaxy's Galaxy's video, as you can see, struggles to recover from heavy exposure changes. The best video comes from the iPhone, which balances exposure changes the best. In portrait video, both the Galaxy and the Pixel occasionally struggle with depth detection for objects around me. The iPhone, while still looking artificial, definitely handles this a bit better. Switching to ultra-wide, the Pixel's video is a bit too saturated and the blacks are heavily crushed. The Galaxy, just like before, struggles with exposure changes but nails the white balance. The iPhone, on the other hand, maintains super consistent exposure throughout. Indoors, interestingly, there aren't any major differences between the videos. All three phones handle this scene pretty well with just some minor variations in white balance.
Buttery smooth video footage is absolutely crucial, so let's test out the stabilization.
While walking, we don't really see any major differences between the three. While running though, there's a slight pulsing effect on the Pixel, whereas both the Galaxy and the iPhone are just flawless.
It's time for the front camera, which as always means we've got to take a bunch of selfies and see which one makes me look the best. While I'm at it, I'm also going to test out front camera video and audio.
At the front, we've got 12 megapixel cameras on the Galaxy S25, the same as on the Galaxy S23. The iPhone also has a 12 megapixel camera, while the Pixel sports a slightly smaller 10.5 megapixel camera. The Pixel has a shorter focal distance, which translates to a wider field of view. In this first selfie, both the Galaxy and the iPhone give my skin a bit of a reddish tint, while the Pixel, as usual, nails the more accurate skin tones. Indoors, the iPhone gives a slightly washed out look to my skin, whereas the Galaxy and the Pixel take almost identical shots. In low light, the Galaxy struggles with a super blurry and washed out image. The iPhone, while sharper, has a lot of noise and looks overly warm. The Pixel, even though it lacks some detail, gets the colors just right. As for video, all three can record at a maximum of 4K 60 FPS, but as always, we're shooting at 4K 30 FPS for a fair comparison. Here, none of them are perfect. The Galaxy's white balance is way too cold, the iPhone's highlights are overexposed, and the Pixel's video lacks some sharpness.
So now we're going to test out the audio on all of these devices, starting off with the S25. How do I sound over here? Is it any good? Moving on to the iPhone 16. Is it any better than the S25? What do we think? And finally, we have the Pixel 9. Is the Pixel 9 better than the other two? Well, let's talk about it.
As you can hear, both the Galaxy and the iPhone sound pretty similar, while the Pixel stands out with far better noise cancellation for those city noises.
We've come to the zoom category, which is always a very interesting one. So let's get up close and see which one gives us the most detail.
Only the Galaxy packs a telephoto lens, a 10 megapixel camera with 3x optical zoom, carried over from the 3-year-old Galaxy S22. At 3x zoom, the Galaxy definitely has the upper hand, thanks to that dedicated telephoto lens. Once we push it to 5x zoom, the iPhone starts to lose sharpness, while the Pixel manages to keep some detail. But yeah, the Galaxy still takes the crown here. Here's a look at the maximum zoom levels: 30 times on the Galaxy, 10 times on the iPhone, and 8 times on the Pixel. On this 30 times crop, you can clearly see how much detail is lost on the iPhone, while the Pixel does a pretty good job smoothing out the photo with its algorithms. Still, the Galaxy is the champ when it comes to zoom.
Slow motion is not a necessity to have on your smartphone, but it's definitely a cool feature. So let's put these to the test and see which one gives us the smoothest results.
For this mode, we always start by pushing the maximum resolution possible. The Galaxy shoots at 4K 120 FPS, while both the iPhone and the Pixel are capped at 1080p 120 FPS. Here, the Pixel's video lacks a bit of detail. The iPhone is sharper, but the Galaxy takes the win by retaining the most detail thanks to that 4K resolution. Next up, we test the maximum FPS each phone can handle. All phones can reach a maximum of 240 FPS at 1080p resolution. Of course, the quality takes a hit across the board, but while not perfect, the videos are rather decent.
It's time to get up close and personal, so get ready for macro mode.
As you can see, the Galaxy lacks a macro mode at very short distances. Here, the iPhone captures more detail in this scene, but introduces quite a bit of noise. The Pixel, on the other hand, has no noise, but could use a bit more sharpness. At 3 times macro zoom, the iPhone completely drops the ball with an overly blurry photo, while both the Galaxy and the Pixel pull off equally great and almost identical shots.
Finally, let's take a look at a few low-light examples to see how these devices perform in darker conditions.
With the main lens, there aren't any major differences. All 3 deliver pretty similar photos with only slight variations in exposure and contrast. Switching to ultrawide, both the Galaxy and the iPhone noticeably lack sharpness and detail in the darker areas. The Pixel captures a lot more detail in the shadows, but it kinda loses that nighttime vibe. In portrait mode, the iPhone heavily overexposes the shot, while the Pixel introduces an overly red tint. The Galaxy nails the colors the best, but could use just a bit more sharpness. At 3 times zoom, even though the Galaxy has a dedicated telephoto lens, all 3 photos look almost identical with just slight differences in exposure and color. For video, with the main lens, the Pixel starts off well, but then suddenly shifts to an extreme orange tint, making the footage just unusable. The Galaxy's video struggles with detail in the shadows, while the iPhone, although a bit blurry, ends up being the better one. With the ultra-wide, the Galaxy's video is noticeably darker than the other 2. However, the iPhone and the Pixel aren't perfect either. One ends up looking overly smooth, while the other has quite a bit of noise. Alright, let's do a quick summary and see who the winner is. Our scoring system is based on order of importance, giving higher percentages to more popular categories like wide, ultra-wide, portrait, and video, while assigning lower percentages to less popular categories such as audio, zoom, slow motion, and macro. For example, in photos taken with the wide lens, the Galaxy scored 7 general points, with 20% of this equaling 1.4 final points, and so on with the next phones and categories. So for the main and ultra-wide cameras, the Pixel scored the most points. For portrait mode, we got a tie between the Galaxy and the iPhone. No surprises in the video category, the iPhone took the crown there. For stabilization, it's another draw between the Galaxy and the iPhone. The Pixel came out on top with the front camera and audio quality. For zoom, the Galaxy clearly took the win. For slow motion, we have yet another tie between the Galaxy and the iPhone. For macro shots, the Pixel took the win, while in night mode, the iPhone was the clear champ. And now it is time to reveal the winner. Or should I say winners, because the difference in points between first place, which goes to the Galaxy, and last place, which is the Pixel, is just 0.1 points. Yeah, you heard that right. Honestly, all 3 phones are amazing, just in their own ways, as you saw from the category scores. Each one shines in some areas and falls a bit short in others. So which one is the best? Well, that really depends on which modes you use the most. So are you Team Galaxy, Team iPhone, or Team Pixel? Please let us know in the comments below. And before you go, be sure to leave a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and make sure to subscribe as we are always testing new devices to help you decide what is best for you. Links to all of these devices can be found in the description below. We'll see you in our next video, and until then, take care.